might have to let it drop. Let it drop. Let it drop. Let it drop. Drop.
And welcome into the JUCO Rush. I'm Mike Fraser. Our producer, Blake Gravitt. Robert Williamson is on assignment. This JUCO Rush podcast brought to you by Pepsi, the great folks down in Gulfport, Mississippi. Allen Beverages. They are proud supporters of the JUCO community college world, both athletically and academically. They respect and understand the importance of a quality education and the quality athletics that are played at the JUCO level. All right, a lot coming up on the program today as we make our tour around the MACCC, the MGCCC, as we talk JUCO football. Now, we're making our trips across the country in the NJCAA. We're starting in Mississippi, going to work our way to Kansas, Texas, Iowa, the Independence, Georgia Military, Lackawanna, Snow, and so on, as we march toward the start of another season in a few months on the NJCAA football level. Tonight, we talk Hinds football and East Central Community College football, and the JUCO Rush sat down with the new head football coach of the Hinds Community College Eagles, and that is Chris Jones. Chris Jones joining us now on the JUCO Rush, head football coach at Hinds Community College. Coach, man, congratulations. You are the head coach at a storied football program with a plethora of tradition. Congratulations on getting the job.
Thank you, and you're exactly right. Hinds is a great place. Back in the day, they were real dominant. Coach Murphy did a great job establishing a great tradition there of a winning culture. And for many years, when I grew up, they were the premier football team in the junior college level, especially when you're talking about Mississippi. So the tradition is there. The players are there. I think the administration is great. So I think it's a gold mine.
Look, I'm from Chicago. I broke in the 90s. I was the guy calling games for Hinds in the mid-90s, that stretch of 4 straight years where they won consecutive conference championships, went to a bowl game, played for a national championship game. Boy, Gene Murphy will remember this. He had a national championship game out there in Tyler, Texas, and the officials, man, coach, they misspotted the forward progress on the running back. It was 4th and a half a yard from the 1.5 yard line. And coach went for it. And it was a horrific spot on the forward progress, and it was 4th down. But Gene Murphy, man, that was my guy, terrific guy. And I'm happy to see a guy like yourself that comes from a winning program up there in Starkville in North Mississippi get that job. Let me start there. Why leave Starkville to take the Hinds job? What was appealing to you?
Honestly, I've always wanted to be a college football coach, and the opportunity presented itself. And I've been in Starkville for 8 years, and I thought it was just perfect timing. And once again, I've had some chances to go to the college level, but it wasn't the right time. But this was perfect time and great situation. Great tradition. Really, why not, to be honest with you?
Yeah, Chris Jones joining us, head football coach now for the Hinds Community College Eagles out in Raymond, Mississippi. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. A couple guys I want to get after here. Brayshawn Forbes, a wide receiver. What did you see on film? What were you excited about him as he comes out of Murrah High School?
Well, honestly, me coaching on the high school level, I've had a chance to coach against a lot of these kids, and Brayshawn is one of them. And we used to be in the same district, Murrah and Starkville, and every time we played against him, he would dominate us. So he was a guy who was on my roster, on my board from day one, as far as being a playmaker that we wanted to try to get. And just kind of knowing who he was, I think kind of helped me with the evaluation process. He's a kid. He's 6'2". He's fast. He's probably 4'5" type of guy. Great ball skills. He's today's kind of receiver who can make you 50-50 balls. He's a really good football player, and he's a great kid. So to me, it was a no-brainer to, try to get a kid of that magnitude who's also, from the district, which is, the Hinds district, which is in Jackson area.
Another Murrah product, Peyton Johnson at the wide receiver slot.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like about him?
Size and speed, another playmaker. You know, he has something that you can't teach. Once again, he's 6'2", 200, 205 in high school, running probably 4.4. He's a track kid. I think his best days are ahead of him, but he was another one, you know, me being familiar with Murray and, you know, the talent that's there. He was a no-brainer for me also. Like I said, you just can't pass up on the measurables with 6'2 plus and his film match. So once again, and you know, we're trying to focus on getting the guys in the Jackson metro area. So we wanted to make sure that we, you know, just kind of capitalize on those guys.
I got a couple other receivers I'd like to ask you about, but before that, Coach, how do you plan on building this team? Are you going to build O-line outward? How are you going to go about it?
I think everything starts up front, O-line wise, defensive line wise. But, you know, so with that being said, we spent a lot of emphasis on our out-of-state spots. At those positions, I want to say we probably got 4 out-of-state O-linemen. So we wanted to make sure that we put a premium up, you know, up front, because I think that's where it all starts. You know, skilled guys are, you know, who they are, but without, you know, the guys up front, nobody can make plays. So we wanted to make sure that we put a big emphasis on, you know, the offensive line.
Who are 2 guys you're really happy with on that offensive line that you have?
Tyron Williams out of Germantown, out of Tennessee. I think he's one who has a chance to be really special. He's 6'4", 6'5" kid, come from a really good program. You know, Louise, he's a guy out of Florida. Great size. He's another, you know, kid that I found just by relationships. I played with his former coach in the NFL, and, you know, I just reached out to him looking for some big bodies. And, you know, he sent me some film, and the film matched, and, you know, came on a visit, and, you know, just kind of fell in love with the kid. Great kid, great size, 6'7" kid. So hard to beat that. Basketball kid, great feet. So once again, we just wanted to make sure that we focus on, you know, areas of need, and offensive line was a big area, and we wanted to make sure we take care of the trenches.
You know, back to your wide receiver slot, Detron Brown, Jakari Douglas, Detron out of Newton High School, Douglas out of Natchez High School. Of these 4 guys, what do you like about these last 2 guys, and who's going to lead on that wide receiver, in that wide receiver room?
I'm not sure it's going to lead yet. That's to be determined, but I do know they all are great, you know, kids, and they love to compete. And, you know, one thing that they all have in common is that, you know, they can play football. And, you know, so we're looking for kids who are, you know, good kids. So just happen to be good football players. And, you know, those kids are, you know, what we're looking for. Great size. All of them are over 6 foot, 6 feet. So once again, they just kind of fit the mold of what we're trying to build and what we're trying to get accomplished as far as getting kids who can get recruited again and, you know, have a chance to get another scholarship.
Quarterback Jamarcus Pittman, love his size, 6'2".
Yes.
I've got him at 215. You want to see he's a little bigger than that. You want to see him slim down a little bit. But here's a guy who's a transfer coming in from southeastern Louisiana, Mississippi kid out of Macomb High School. What about him?
He has a cannon for an arm. Great kid, smart. He's been at a you know, great program, so he understands what it takes. He understands what it looks like to work on a day-to-day as far as, you know, being a really good player and being a quarterback. Like I say, he's a great football player. I'm looking forward to just seeing him compete for the job, and, you know, him, you know, taking charge and, you know, having that point guard mentality, you know, that I like to look for in a quarterback. So it's going to be exciting to just kind of see him this spring and see what he can do. Yeah,
I mean, what numbers he had at Macomb High School. Threw for over 2,900 yards and 37 touchdowns in his senior season. Class 4A Offensive Player of the Year for Macomb High School. And then another guy, Raheem Vance, 6 foot 200. What are you looking for him in spring practice? How does he fit into your game plan?
He's more of a dual threat guy. He's also a guy, you know, coaching against. I've coached against him a couple of years when he was at Olive Branch, so I was real familiar with him. Great kid, great athlete. You know, he's a dual threat guy who can run and throw and make plays when, you know, kind of stuff breaks down. But another good kid who I want to see compete. And like I said, I'm looking forward to those guys competing this spring. And I think, you know, the competition part is going to make both of them better. And at the end of the day, I just feel like we'll have a really, really good program, you know, with these guys being at the forefront.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, on the defensive side, a couple of guys I want to talk to you about. Your linebacker, Taquan McKinney, 3-star guy, 247, 6 foot 190. What's his skill set? What do you anticipate him bringing to you?
Just athleticism. He's a great pass rusher. Once again, playing against this guy, Louisville, he beat us one year by himself. He probably had 3 sacks in the fourth quarter, tackles for loss. Great football player from a great program with great tradition, who understands, what it takes to win. And, he also fits the mold of what we're looking for, trying to find kids who come from really good programs, who know how to win and understand the process of winning.
Mekhi Mixon, 3-star, 5'11", 190-pounder out in that secondary for you. His best asset, what you see from him right now?
He's more of a nickel kind of guy who's going to be a guy who can cover and also make plays for us in our scheme. But, just watching film on him, he's a great tackler. He's physical. He's fast. Another kid who comes from a really good program. I think, this year they were probably, I want to say, top 20 in the nation. East St. Louis High School, another place with, great players year in and year out. So, once again, just trying to find guys who come from really good programs, who understand, how to win and the culture of, what it takes to win.
How about your staff? You put that together. How's that coming along? And, are you going to call the plays? How are you going to manage as the head coach?
First of all, I think I got a great staff. My defense coordinator, Coach Pope, he was with me, at Starkville High, helped win a championship together. He left and went to East Mississippi and became the D-line coach there. So he'll be my DC. On the defensive side of the ball, too, Coach Dora. He's a guy who's been at Southern Miss probably the past 7 years. So he's a good guy who understands, what it takes to coach on this level. Coach Omar Connor. He's been on the junior college level probably 10 plus years or so. Once again, another good coach. And I brought a coach with me, Coach Michael Lewis. He was with me 4 years in Starkville, and he's from the Jackson area. But I feel like I got a really good staff, and me myself, I'm gonna call the plays, but I'm gonna lean heavy on Coach Connor and Coach Michael as far as coordinating the offense and just kind of getting it ready for game day. But I've always called plays, and that's something that I'll continue to do on the offensive side.
Chris, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Jonathan Webster now joining us. There he is, the head football coach for East Central Community College. Coach, first of all, congratulations. I want to be on record that while I was right, I was also wrong. I picked you before the season started last year to be one of those playoff teams out of that just difficult South Division. Now, I picked you at number 2, so you proved me wrong. You were number 1 out of the South. But I want to be on record that I was in your lifeboat, man. I was getting it done for you back in August.
Well, that's probably a lot more than a lot of people can say. I don't know who would have picked us at 1 or 2 at that point in time, man. But Mike, I appreciate it, man. I really do.
And we got it, man. You're a heck of a recruiter, man. The talent that you've brought into this program, really in your short stint at EC, is just remarkable. And the results that you're putting up, man, you are getting it done and turning the corner. One guy I want to talk about as we dive in here is your old lineman, Robert McMillian, 6'3", 285. How did you find him? What do you like about him?
So we call him Shoom. That's his nickname. That's Big Shoom to us. Myself and Coach Luther, my offensive line coach, we spent a ton of time in Mobile, probably from about mid-November all the way through the week before we went dead in signing. We had connections. Some of the coaches there knew our offensive coordinator, Coach Fosselman, and that's really what got the ball rolling on just the initial communication and things like that. And once we figured out that he would be definitely a dude that, could come in and make an immediate impact for us, myself, Coach Luther, we were in the vans, in the cars every single week, going over, seeing him in the gym with him, playing basketball, going and seeing mom and little sister and all of those people. But, man, we are really, really pumped about Shoom. Big guy, athletic, could really play all 5 positions across the front, from right tackle to left tackle. Right now, we've got him penciled in as a tackle for us. That's what we hope we can use him at. and we don't have to use him anywhere else. But he's definitely one that we are extremely excited about.
What about his weight? They have him listed at 285. Is that right? And if so, do you want to get him up on that?
He's bigger than that right now. He's weighing in, I think, somewhere around that 295. He may have hit 300 right before signing day. So we're hoping that he can come in and play for somewhere around that 305 mark. Ideally, is where we would like to see him. But Mike, I'm telling you, he's a big athlete. I think that's kind of how we made a connection, was not football wise, just basketball wise. So we started talking a bunch of trash to each other about basketball. And I got a chance to actually go over on some recruiting days and get into the gym with him. And when I say he is a big man that can move his feet, I was so pumped, like trying to guard him out there on the court, just seeing him move and cross over and, be agile and things like that. So if we can get him at 305 and he keeps that athleticism, man, he'll be a really, really good one.
Well, what have you weighed your offensive lineman yet? What do you look like right now across the board, average weight?
That's going to be a Coach Luther question, but I think we're averaging somewhere around 6'4", 305. I think is going to be the average, maybe 310. But definitely a lot bigger O-line average wise than we've had in the previous 2 years, which was a major focal point for us, was getting bigger on the offensive line.
You really picked up a winner at quarterback. Let's talk about Bryce Warrener out of Tri-County Academy. Yeah. I mean, really remarkable what they've done, unprecedented at Tri-County Academy. Walk us through the process. Of course, you heard about him. How did you get him?
A lot of time just put into him early, just building that relationship. We got a chance to not just to build that relationship with Bryce, we got a chance to build it with his mom and dad as well, who are awesome people. And this started way back. I mean, that communication was happening way back during our season. And then when we were able to, kind of make that run and people were able to get out and watch us play and things like that, I think that kind of solidified it for his parents a little bit. And, you have to build relationships across the board, but especially at the quarterback position. There has to be such a level of trust there. And I think that's what we were able to build with Bryce and his mom and his dad, just that there was a vision for him. There was an opportunity for him, which that opportunity is as wide open as it could get right now. Both of our quarterbacks are done here. The quarterbacks we have for both years, who were both awesome players for us, are both done. So Bryce knew that he had a chance to come in here and compete with new guys versus guys that had already been all conference or all regional, things like that. So I think that helped as well. But one thing that young man has done through high school is he's won a lot of games. He's won a ton of games.
Yeah, tell us more about him, for his footwork, his eyes, how he processes. What kind of quarterback is he? What do we expect to see?
I think it starts really with this. I think it starts with his heart. And I say that not being cliche. Like at the quarterback position, you've got to love football still. I think some people in the game we live in today, they still play the game because they're able to, but they don't necessarily love it. If you're going to lead a program, you've actually got to love football. And that's what Bryce does. And I'll tell you this, we've had the last 2 weeks. We got our first day of spring practice tomorrow. Week before last, we did football school, which is just our way of teaching guys the fundamentals of football in the classroom. There's nothing physical about it. We talk situational football. We talk about communication and language and what our language is. And we talk about our identity and all those things that you're trying to build when you build a culture. And then last week we had OTAs. So we kind of get a chance to go out and make our conditioning more football wise, conditioning with some footwork and things like that. And that young man has such a drive for football that he actually came over a couple of days just to be around the guys, just to be around the team.
Oh, wow.
And so that, to me, that tells a lot about him as a person, where most high school students right now are just trying to enjoy their senior year. Like, he's already trying to get engulfed into East Central football. And if we would allow him, he'd be out there throwing balls and everything like that if we would allow him to. But he still just wants to be in it. He wants to know it. He wants to get ahead of it. So I think that really tells a lot about him. And
you love that.
Absolutely. And then cognitively, he's a sharp young man. He processes information at a high level. He speaks the language. And I think that's really a OC or quarterback's coach's dream, is when you can talk to your quarterback and you don't have to you don't have to bring it down to their level. They're already on the level that you're on. So I know Coach Foss is really excited about that from Bryce.
Braden Walsh, his teammate, another
Mhm.
winner, Tri-County Academy, played the defensive side and at the wide receiver slot. Where's he going to play for you? Your expectations from him?
Braden's going to be a safety for us. I think that's where his upside is when you talk about him having the potential to play beyond junior college football into Division I. He's a long kid. He's got range. And then when you start talking about speed, he's definitely fast enough. He may be a 4.6 on the clock, which that doesn't get a lot of people overly excited about wideouts, taking the top off of defense.
Yeah.
But if you're a high 4.5, legit 4.6 safety, like you can get everywhere you need to get on the football field. So I'm really excited. Got a chance to watch him in an all-star game. I believe he was the defensive MVP in that game. Maybe had a couple interceptions or something like that. So he's another guy that brings a winning attitude to the program. He's a cognitive guy. And that's really important at the safety position.
Two running backs I want to talk about. Mekhi Gaddis, Neshoba Central.
Yeah, I mean, just such a tough runner. Mekhi is not very big, but I think he brings just a complete, skill set to the table. He can run between the tackles. His toughness, because he was a guy we got a chance to watch all year long because he's in our district. His toughness, he has some things that were banged up on him, but you were at the game, you're watching it, you're knowing he's hurting physically, but he never pulled himself out of the game. He was one of those guys that's always, in it and wants to be in it and, begging the coaches to get back on the field and things like that. He's a guy that, we feel like we can give the ball to and he can carry a load for us. He's that type of guy. He's not limited, to only being able to run the ball. He can catch out of the backfield.
And another guy that just looks to be just an absolute thoroughbred for you here, Darius McDougal. Bunch of D1 offers. Your thoughts on him?
Man, Duke is probably one of the staples of this recruiting class for us. When you talk about, again, a local kid, and we really want to get any guys that are local that can play at a high level. We want those guys to be here. But he was two-time Mr. Football for his classification. He was committed to Southern Miss at one point in time. But he's a guy that, man, he's just a total package, Mike. I mean, he can run it. He can catch it out of the backfield. I think at one point in time, Southern Miss was even possibly looking at him as a slot receiver. So that kind of tells you a little bit about his skill set. But, man, he's put up so many yards and touchdowns in his high school career. And he's a guy that's used to having a lot on his shoulders. And we've decided this year, as long as everything stays true, that, our running back field is going to be all Mississippi kids this year. And so we have two kids like Duke and then Mekhi. And we signed another one out of Jackson Academy that we feel really strongly about, too.
Jonathan Webster joining us, head football coach for East Central. Anthony Hobson, 6'3", 295, defensive lineman out of Neshoba Central. Coach, this is a defensive line league. This guy, what do you see out of him?
And I love all the ones we've signed, but Bo, Anthony, we call him Bo. Bo has a chance to be one of the probably the most highly recruited guys coming out of here in a year and a half that we
really.
Had. Yeah, I mean,
really,
Mississippi, Alabama kid. I mean, you're talking about 6'2", 330 pounds on the defensive line. And when I say a powerful man, he is a very powerful man. So, great personality, too. If you ever get a chance to be around him and talk to him, he brings just such a contagious energy to the room. But he's a guy that we expect to be able to come in and make an impact from day one. And when he leaves here, in my opinion, he is going to be a powerful recruit when he leaves here. About it, Mike, write that down. In a year and a half now, if that kid doesn't sign Division I, it was one or two things. Either we completely missed the boat or that kid got extremely lazy. Part A, we're not going to miss the boat because he's going to be coached right every single day. And if he does not get lazy, he will be a Power 4 signee coming out of here.
Man, that's saying something. Nathaniel Johnson, linebacker, 6'2", 203 out of South Haven. Who recruited him? What are your expectations out of him?
So Coach Pratt, Travoy Pratt, our linebackers coach, really got the ball rolling on Nathaniel. And then him being from North Mississippi, which that's where I'm from originally, we kind of tag teamed that thing, through the latter part of recruiting. But Nathaniel's probably weighing somewhere. You had him at 203?
That's what I've got. What is he?
Yeah, he's going to be about 230. So he's a lot.
Wow,
He's a lot
okay.
bigger right now. Powerlifting kid. He's one of those that had some interest early on from some Division I programs coming out as well, and it kind of just fell off the map for whatever reason. But we feel like he's going to really fill the holes for us left on the interior of the linebacking core. So Mike, Will Backer, we're a 3-4 defense. So either of those two inside linebacker spots are really interchangeable in our scheme. But he's one of those guys that we feel like, losing Carson Graham, who was a 2-year starter for us at the Mike. We feel like Nathaniel can come in and make an immediate impact, and he's got the body to be able to do it. When you're taking a guy that's already 230 or 227 pounds or whatever he is right now versus a guy that's 203 who may not quite be able to hold up for an entire season with the type of physical football games we play, we feel like he can come in and he can really be able to withstand a lot of that physical punishment.
Coach, thanks so much for jumping on the JUCO Rush.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. Thank you guys for having me.
And that'll wrap on the JUCO Rush podcast for this week. Special thanks again go out to the head football coach for Hinds Community College, Chris Jones, for jumping on the rush. And then also Jonathan Webster, who you just heard there from East Central Community College, to jump on the JUCO Rush. Great talking to those guys. Next week, we're talking Northwest and Mississippi Gulf Coast football as we make our tour around the MGCCC. We'll also go into Kansas, Texas, Iowa, and the independents as well, such as Lackawanna, Georgia Military, and Snow, as we build toward another season of JUCO football in the NJCAA. For our producer and engineer, Blake Gravitt, I'm Mike Fraser saying so long, everybody.